So anyway, like I said, this is the Kitsap Sun Editorial Board. We're talking to Amanda Cheatham, who are running for position 1, the Poulsbo City Council. Yep. So why don't you take a few minutes and just tell us who you are, some of your background, and why you're interested in doing this.
Sure. So my family has been in Poulsbo for a really long time. They moved here, settled in Poulsbo in 1905 from Norway. They have been business owners, community volunteers. I've volunteered heavily since I was young, and my daughter is a 5th generation graduate of North Kitsap High School, so our roots run really deep in Poulsbo. A couple years after high school, I married a Marine, and we moved out of state for transfer of duty stations, and I later found myself as a single parent and decided that I wanted to move, raise my daughter in a community that I loved so much and that helped me grow into the person I was. And so we moved back home to Poulsbo, and I became even more invested in the community than I had been before we moved. And I've been a member of the Poulsbo Lions Club since 2009. I've held the positions of vice president and secretary for that club. I'm a graduate of Leadership Kitsap, and I've held leadership positions in their alumni association. I'm a member of the Sons of Norway, and I've been employed with the local utility for several years now. And I'm also the executive director of a local nonprofit scholarship program, the Miss West Sound Scholarship Program. So my daughter is going into her 2nd year of college, and this has afforded me even more opportunity to invest my time in my community because she's doing her own thing now, and I don't have to necessarily worry about being her parent and raising her up, although I still do. So
you never totally need to quit.
I never do, never ever. So I feel that running for city council is simply a new expression of the same commitment I've had for so long. And my biggest goal, or I really want the kids in our community to know that there are opportunities for them in Poulsbo, whether it is educational opportunities or employment, and so they don't have to move somewhere else to seek those opportunities out. But however, if they should move away, they know they can move home and those opportunities would still be available to them. One of the main things I'd like to focus on as a member of the City Council is promoting our local economy. If you had saw the coverage of the new Sonic that opened in Poulsbo, you know how desperately our citizens are looking for new restaurants and new places to gather, and I think Sonic is still really, really busy. So having those things available to our citizens, goods and services and retail establishments, so that they don't have to go somewhere else, they can use their money locally. I think that's really important. Another thing is public safety is really important to me, specifically related to pedestrian traffic. I've had several local close calls as a motorist and a pedestrian on this downtown area of Poulsbo, so I feel that our streets are not adequately lit, our crosswalks and our sidewalks need better lighting. That's another thing I'd want to focus on during my tenure. The third thing I'd like to focus on is what I like to call community connectedness. I don't know if that's a term yet, but if not, I'm going to coin it. But I do feel that there's still somewhat of a disconnect between our citizens and our local government. I would like to find ways to entice people to come to city council meetings and let their voices be heard and be invested in what's going on in their community. And I love Viking Fest. A lot of my friends hightail it out of town when Viking Fest rolls around. So I really want to find out why our citizens are leaving versus staying, and we've got all these tourists coming, and I'd like to make those types of festivals more advantageous to our citizens so that they stay. So
explain that last one. Go a little more on that one, because I think that's something we've asked a lot of city council candidates who come in. We kind of say, how do you see the role? What do you see? And it sounds like one of the things you want to do is more communication, listening, representative, like that.
I love talking to people. I love going to community events and seeing not necessarily the people that I know or familiar faces, but it's really nice to see those people. It's like it's Old Home Week. You come home and everybody's downtown. Viking Fest is a huge festival for that, and I love trying to promote it on social media and saying, come into town if you guys live out of town. Come to Viking Fest, remember what it was like.
Maybe other than just, I mean, what you're talking about is being a spokesperson and inviting, and of course that's...
You're talking more like one-on-one
I'm thinking more like
communication.
when you have an issue in front of the city, because it's your job to make the policy and make those decisions. Maybe even tell us, have you seen one that the city does that, boy, you guys weren't listening to what people were saying? Have you seen that happen? And what could have been done to get people to listen and maybe pay attention or go to the meetings, or maybe there was something the city didn't do that you think could have been better?
On the contrary, most recently when they were talking about the local taxes for lodging, the lodging tax, I think several of the citizens that came to that meeting were concerned and really concerned about what decision was going to be made, how they were going to utilize and spend that money. And the council decided to, they completely turned it around, and the money's being used for what those citizens who were at the meeting intended it to be used for. So I think that, I think the city's doing a good job, the local government's doing a good job at listening to the citizens, especially when they show up to a meeting and they come up to the podium and they have those 3 minutes to talk to the council. I think it's very important for that. Getting more, I guess, notice and more public relations. I don't know really how that would work, but I think the emails that they send out, if you're a part of the email list, knowing when the community or the council is going to have a meeting and what's on the agenda, I think that's really great, but finding more opportunities and more ways of getting that out there.
So it sounds like there is a forum that's working, maybe just more people.
We just need more. What will make our citizens want to come to a meeting? It's really interesting. I would like to find out.
Talk about money. That's
right? Yeah, that's always a good one.
Actually, maybe that's another thing. If I can ask you this question, when lodging tax, and I know other cities deal with this one, so we see this come up here, and what happens is those vested interests, they show up because they know there's the money at stake. And not specifically always money, but as a person like yourself who is connected to a lot of local groups, how do you take on that? Yes, I'm strongly connected to these things, but there's going to be a lot of other people approaching you saying, we need help, we need help, we need help. How do you kind of go after that question, or how do you keep those things fair so you're representing?
I think that is a really key thing, is being fair. Trying to balance it out. Maybe one year you have a group of people or organizations that are getting that money, and then the next year maybe try and spread it out amongst another group of people. It also depends on those people who are submitting applications for that tax or for their chunk of that money. Yeah, you just have to try and look at it from a business sense maybe, and not such a personal one, as hard as that might be. And I haven't really seen what applications come through. I haven't been a party to that, so I don't know what.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not trying to pin you on lodging tax, just
I,
maybe in general, how you personally go about. Yeah, I got my friends in the Lions Club, my friends in this one, but I'm also going to be approached by other people. And what are you going to do to kind of make sure?
I think those who know me know that I'm not going to say, oh, well, my best friend has asked for, a percentage of this for this festival that she's a part of. I certainly would consider that. I wouldn't want to unfairly keep her out of the running just because I don't want to have it appear that I'm favoring her or something. But I think that I would hope that my integrity would speak for itself, and that the people that talk to me and ask me questions would feel that I'm going about it fairly. Granted, I'm one of 7, so we would all have to collaborate, and maybe there's information I don't know of that they would give to me, so it would help me make a better decision.
Amanda, I wanted you to talk about what do you mean by promoting the local economy? It seems like Poulsbo's economy is doing pretty good.
I think that the economy, as far as the money that's coming in, is good. I think that there could be more opportunity for different types of retail establishments and restaurants. We have a lot of pizza places, and I love pizza, but I think that having a better variety, perhaps. And I know that Mayor Erickson goes out and she solicits businesses outside to come into Poulsbo and tries to give them some incentive to come to Poulsbo and tell them how great our community is to bring them in. And I think that I would love to see more of that. And maybe.
What can you do as a council person to bring other businesses in?
That's something that I would definitely look into. I don't know legally what am I allowed to do. I know that maybe if I see a business outside, say Trader Joe's, I know a lot of people wanted Trader Joe's to come to Poulsbo. I think before they went to Silverdale. So people were lobbying for that. Maybe see what types of establishments the citizens want and try to go out and solicit those kinds of things. Talk to the mayor, see what we can do as a council to bring them in.
I'll ask you about one specific one that has been an issue for this current city council. It's not a pizza place, it's a marijuana shop.
Yes.
And that's something the city had said, no, we don't want to do this, we don't get enough money to make up for the police protection. Now the state has changed that. Is there anything, do you think that the city council should talk about this again? Is that something that's good for Poulsbo because of the revenue?
You know, that's a fine line. It's, we had spoken about this when I was talking to the North Kitsap Herald, and I believe that it's what the people want. We are here representing those people who have elected us into this position, and while the state of Washington voted to have marijuana legalized, maybe the people of Poulsbo specifically aren't interested in that, but it would be good to maybe do an advisory vote and figure that out and then take it from there. The council still has the authority to say, you know, we're going to keep our codes the way they are and therefore not bring in those marijuana establishments. And of course that's, you know, something that they would need to look at, and we need to consider what the citizens of Poulsbo are wanting.
I have a question about it, illegal drugs. That we've had a serious problem in Kitsap County on opiate use. Would you support a methadone maintenance clinic in Poulsbo?
That's a very good question. I don't know enough about the benefits of having a methadone treatment clinic. However, if it's going to benefit our community for the greater good, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would need to do some more research and do my due diligence, of course, before making a decision like that. But the drug problem has been a problem for a very long time. When I was in high school, we had our own different sets of people that were doing drugs, different drug uses. But I think that's something that we're always running into, and there's always opportunity for making changes in Poulsbo, and that could be something that would benefit the community.
We've heard some good things about the way Poulsbo runs its government. People seem to get along. The mayor seems to get along with council. What is it about you, particularly, if everybody's really great people, they're all nice people, and everybody wants to get elected, what niche are you going to fill that doesn't exist on the council? So, you know, why should we vote for you particularly? If everybody's such nice folks, everybody gets along, and things are running along pretty nicely, and the economy's going pretty reasonably well, what niche are you going to fill that doesn't exist?
You know, I don't know if it's a niche that doesn't exist. I'm already heavily invested in the community, and I just want to take it one step further. And like you said, they're all really nice. I mean, even when they disagree, they make their decision. You can tell that it's very intense during that moment, and then they make the decision and they move forward. And there are no grudges that are harbored, at least in the public eye during a meeting. And I really, really respect that, and I respect their way of communicating with each other because they're there for a job. And I really feel that I would just naturally, I would blend in with that. I think I have the same kind of temperament, and I'm a collaborator. I like to hear what everybody has to say before making a decision, and I know that I would add to it. I would give a fresh perspective, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if I would offer something that's not existent currently, which makes it difficult, but I think I would do a great job being on the council.
So, Amanda, talk about what you see for the future of Poulsbo. Some specific areas like Viking Way or the hillside there where Walmart. I mean, how do you see all that stuff developing as opposed to the downtown Front Street?
Right. There's been a lot of emphasis on downtown, which I think is great. It's the draw, and that's what people see first when they come off the ferry from Bainbridge Island. But Viking Way, I know that there are already things in place that they're trying to revitalize that area, creating a guys' night and bringing them up there and trying to get the guys to come to the lumber yard and the trailer place. I mean, it's kind of stereotypically a guy thing, but I'm sure there'll be some women there. But Ojava, I think, that's a huge resource for our city. They want to make this a big college town, and I think that we could do that by adding some more restaurants, adding housing up there for people who are attending Olympic College, Poulsbo. And I think that the town or the city is being really mindful of what kinds of businesses go up there and what kinds of land use they're allowing. But I think Ojava, they've already put in, or they're building a drive-through Starbucks, which I'm really excited about. And they're starting to build more up there. So it's been a slow process, I think, but they're being smart about the businesses that are coming in.
And you don't think that'll take away from the downtown?
I don't think so. I think that it'll be a different set of people that are up there, more college, people who are using the college, And I think they might be naturally wanting to go downtown. I mean, downtown Poulsbo is amazing. I don't think that'll ever change.
You mentioned when you were talking, this is kind of connected to what you're talking about with the college especially, in one of your opening remarks you said keeping kids who grow up in Poulsbo being able to stay in Poulsbo. Do you see that as mostly, so far you've mentioned more kind of nightlife, recreation, that sort of stuff. Do you think that's enough, or is there another, when you look down the road at Poulsbo, what is the problem? What's not keeping those kids around at that kind of brain drain?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's the education opportunities. We have Olympic College Poulsbo, and now we have Western Washington partnering with them. I think that they need to look into offering more four-year university degrees. I think that's part of it. And secondly, the employment opportunities. Technology is huge, but we don't have that many businesses that are keeping people here. We're starting to lose some of them. And I think trying to figure out how we keep those bigger businesses in town and keep those young people here who are very tech savvy, because that's kind of our future.
What do you think the best, and this is another kind of growth question and kind of you looking out towards the future of Poulsbo, but you're going to grow as a city, add more people in there. What's kind of acceptable to you that retains, there's a very distinct character to Poulsbo, and Poulsbo Place is a very dense place that they've done that development, had a lot of housing in there. What other places do you see it's okay, we should grow here, but what is the trade-off? What should be protected? What do you think makes Poulsbo distinct, and that you would say, whoa, this is important, we need to not touch this?
I believe one of the big draws is our scenery. It's nothing like going downtown on a summer day when it's nice outside and the water's just sparkly and there are people about and boats are out there. I think taking away that view, that landscaping, would be kind of detrimental to our pristine environment that we have there. I think that we really need to be careful with our natural resources. I know that there's been some talk about removing trees and developing and doing all this land clearing, which has happened. And I think making sure that we're coming back in later once we've figured out what kind of formatting we're going to have a residential area in, and replanting those trees and making sure that, years down the road we've got this nice canopy still in Poulsbo. I think that we have to grow. We have to continue building housing for people if we want them to move into town.
Is housing downtown a good idea? There's been talk of condos over the years and things like that.
I think that if we do a multi-family housing, yes. I don't know where we'd be able to build more single-family dwellings necessarily. But yeah, I think there is opportunity for that. It just kind of depends on what the land, if something comes available to rebuild on it.
One of the things that maybe goes with that is the traffic, especially 305, where a lot of work has gone on over the years, a lot of people going back and forth. Kitsap Transit is probably the big player in trying to alleviate some of those things. What do you think of the things that they've done in terms of bus service and other things? Do you like the relationship the city has? Are there things that you would like to see? Or are there other ways to handle that?
Well, when I was growing up, we had a bus route. The city bus went through the downtown area and up through the projects, and if kids wanted to be picked up and taken over to Viking Way, where they had some stores over there, they could do that. And I think transportation was accessible back then, and I think that we can get back to that now. With Bus 44, it does the loop through Viking Fest and down, or not Viking Fest, Viking Way and down through the downtown corridor, and I know that there are plans for kind of expanding that and having other bus routes through the high school and back downtown. So I think if we keep moving forward in that direction, that's a positive. And then I also think telecommuting is a huge thing. If we can expand the Wi-Fi services that the KPUD has provided, more people would be inclined to telecommute, and that would alleviate some of our traffic congestion that we might have.
Is that the utility you work for?
Yes.
It is. Okay. So you're well aware of what.
Somewhat, yes,
okay.
yes.
What
Still
about
learning,
the traffic between Poulsbo and Bainbridge? What's your views on that?
I think that's been discussed at length for many years. I'm not really sure what the plan is for maybe widening the bridge. If there's an accident at any point along that route, traffic is congested for hours. So I don't know what what changes need to be made there. I know something needs to be done, but I am not really sure what that would be.
With that question over pedestrian safety and sidewalks and things like that, one of the things that this city, Bremerton, did, and others are kind of talking about it now, is transportation benefit districts, where you add a car tab fee to then pay for some sidewalk projects, other roads, things like that. Do you think that's something Poulsbo should look into as a way to try to address some of the things you're talking about?
Definitely. I think always approaching the public to see what their viewpoints are. And there's always going to be opportunities for the council to make decisions that maybe the public isn't really too keen on, and having a tax like that, or a car tab tax, would be probably one of those. Whenever you're adding funds or taking funds away from somebody, there's always a chance that they're not going to be happy about it. But I think overall the general good of Poulsbo might necessitate that. So yeah, I definitely think they should look into it.
You know, you were talking kind of quick at the beginning, and I missed some of the groups that you're involved in. I got the Lions Club, the Sons of Norway, and West Sound Scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something else that you were...
Leadership Kitsap.
Leadership Kitsap. What is that?
Leadership Kitsap, I think it's been around since 1999. I was a member of the class of 2008, and several of our events we would do Public Safety Day, where we would listen to speakers from the fire department, or I know one year they did a ride-along, which we didn't get to do, and I was a little disappointed in that. But we also, you do roundtable discussions where you would take scenarios of, maybe a case that came before the court, and how would you decide what verdict you would have. So we got to really have a hands-on approach to different facets in our community. Arts and education was important. What else did we do?
How do you get to be on Leadership Kitsap?
I was nominated by my employer. I worked for Silverdale Water at that time, and I think they take people who are already invested in the community or have that interest in being so, and you have to write an essay, and then you're selected from the committee that brings the class together. And I was a part of a 6-member team of all women, and you do a community service project over the course of, I think it's 10 months, and we did homeless research and outreach, and it was very, very rewarding.
Yeah, it's maybe 24 people or so in each class, maybe a little less.
I think there were 32 the year I participated.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's kind of, it ebbs and flows, I think, based on the number of people that are nominated to go in.
Yeah, it's a really neat program.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah. Well, do you guys have any questions? That was great. You answered what I.
Okay, one more. So
Sure.
Now you work for the PD.
Mm-hmm.
You're their public outreach person? Is that
No, I would love to be, but right now I'm doing customer service, which I really enjoy that also. I love talking to folks, and sometimes, I love it when a call comes in and it isn't starting out the right way, but if I can get them to be happy with the outcome, or at least know that we're going to come out and fix something that they're not happy with, having them happy when they hang up is
pretty important job, actually.
Yeah, water is very important.
Actually, I have another question. Walk me through a little bit your thought process on how you decided to run for the council.
Running for council has been something that I've wanted to do for a really long time. I can't remember when I first started to consider it, but I know it was a long time ago, and I just feel that having representation from just a citizen, I'm just a citizen of Poulsbo. I think having a group of just citizens coming together from different backgrounds and making decisions for the city is vital. I think having that, it's the best part of our political, our rights, I guess. And so most recently, somebody actually came up to me and said, you should consider running for city council. And I said, I've considered it for a really long time. I just wanted to make sure I was in the right place in my life, and had some of the experience. I know there's a lot more that I need to know, and I think I'm really ready to learn the things that I don't know. I know there's a lot out there, but it's something that I've considered for a really long time, and I love my hometown. I can't say enough about it.
Did you apply for, when they had that opening, did you apply for that?
I did not apply. I looked into it, but my daughter was getting ready to go off to college, and I just had a lot of stuff going on. I didn't feel that it was the best time for me. And then, and I would have run for city council eventually. I didn't think it was going to happen this soon, but I think, you know, why not now? I feel that I'm ready now, and I think I would do a great job.
You've been going to council meetings, sounds like this fall.
Mm-hmm.
What, when you look at the issues that are going on right now, what really grabs your attention? What do you find interesting?
Well, the lodging tax was very interesting, and
How many hotels do they have in Poulsbo?
we have 2.
I was gonna say, I didn't think there's a whole lot of them.
No, we could use another though. I know I have some people that I know that are kind of in the hotel industry, and I keep texting and saying, why aren't you building here? So maybe if I harass them enough, they'll consider it, but I don't know if I have that much authority over that. I think that the partnership between Olympic College and Western Washington University is very, very important for our city, and having that available to our young people and anybody who wants to attend college is great.
I live in Sequoia, and I took classes at Olympic College in Poulsbo, and I'll tell you one thing you should do is, or they should do, is get more classes up there.
Right, I agree.
They don't, a lot of the classes are only offered
In Bremerton.
no offense, but
Right.
down here in Bremerton.
And Bremerton's
so-
great, the campus is
Yeah.
great,
Yes, it
but
is
it's
great.
really, really convenient to just travel 5 minutes versus 30.
Absolutely.
So I agree. I took classes both at OC Poulsbo and Bremerton.
Yeah.
And I was going to go into the Human Services program, and that year that I was accepted, they cut the program. So, yeah. So I started Miss West Sound instead. That's something else at the moment.
Well, so is there anything we didn't ask you? That's always what I say at the conclusion of the interview. Like, if there's anything we didn't bring up that you'd like to tell us.
No, nothing that you didn't bring up. I
Okay.
think all the questions were varied, and I think they were great. I just want to reiterate, I know that being a hometown girl isn't the end-all be-all, but I do believe that my commitment to my community already and the investment I've already made, I think that's something to be considered. And I really want to be an advocate for the people that I would be representing and talking to the masses and figuring out what we can do to make Poulsbo even better than it already is. That's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
for
luck to
coming.
you.